everybody. Welcome to Summer Sessions with ODC. This is an opportunity that we have that we're going to be introducing you to various people throughout our community, businessmen, pastors, nonprofit organizations, because we want to start a conversation. We want to be able to give you information that can help you better the quality of your life, but also uplift your spirit too. So this is what we're doing today. I'm so excited. Our very first summer session is going to be with Damian Gorham.
Thank you for having me.
He was like, I'm not a pastor. Make sure you don't call me no pastor. So we know he's not a pastor. But Damian Gorham is our business loan officer at Mechanics and Farmers Bank. And I have recently gotten to know him within the last 5 years that I've been at Mechanics and Farmers Bank. And he is a wealth of knowledge. We talk about everything from investing to real estate to any type of money questions. You know, I find myself going to Damian Gorham. So before we get into the questions today, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in the business.
So again, thank you for having me. I have been in banking for 23 years now. I started at Bank of America as a credit analyst and have been at different positions at different banks over time. So right now I'm the senior commercial loan officer here at M&F Bank. I'm happy to be here.
Yay, 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 yay. So with every person I get a chance to interview during the summer sessions, I like to ask like ice-breaking questions. One, because I think it makes you more relatable to the community. And then sometimes I just want to know. Okay, I just want to know. So I'm just going to give you two options and you say, you just choose the one you prefer.
Sure.
Captain Crunch or Cheerios?
Captain Crunch.
Football or basketball?
Basketball.
Okay, and I have one more. You ready?
Sure.
Nikes or Adidas?
That's a great question. Nike.
Nike. Okay, why Nike?
I appreciate and respect Nike's willingness and courage in supporting athletes that even if they had a controversial message, they still supported, the people that they needed to support. Colin Kaepernick, things like that. That took incredible bravery from a corporation. You don't see that a lot today. So, that's why. I mean, they make a good product, and I've worn Nikes playing basketball for almost all my life, but that probably is the difference for me right now. So,
okay, I know it's gonna be like some good deep answer. I would have just been like, cause it feel good to my feet, but. So I wanted to. The first question I wanted to start off on. Me and my son, we were at Zaxby's. And they were talking, the news was on, they was talking about the debt ceiling.
Sure.
And so I said, you know what? So what does the debt ceiling mean, and what does that mean to the middle and lower class community?
So the debt ceiling, if you will, is the nation's credit card. What happens is the government collects taxes every year from my paycheck, your paycheck, on businesses, and that's, around when tax time comes. That's how the government funds spending money on social programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, streets, public schools, everything goes, you just pay from the taxes. The government generally can't pay all of those expenditures through the taxes that they collect, so there's a deficit created. And what the government does to kind of fill that hole, if you will, is they borrow money to pay what they, for what they have, what they can't pay for. That accumulates over time, and that's basically the country's debt. The debt ceiling said it was put in place, I think, around World War I to allow the Treasury to just kind of say, okay, we need to borrow more money because we need to, cover these expenditures. And so it didn't used to be a political thing. Like, it didn't used to be on the news. Like, it wasn't anything until recently. So the political fight about what we actually spend money on as a country, like where our values are, what's important to us, how we spend those dollars, has become a thing now, if you will. And it's unfortunate because what that does is the ripple effects from that. If the debt ceiling isn't raised, then the government basically can't borrow any more money. And if they are essentially tapped out from a credit perspective, the government can shut down. Now that can have a multitude of effects on the economy, from, like, so if the government shuts down, people that work for the government don't get paid.
Mhm.
Like, you can imagine what that happens.
Yeah.
What happens with that? What if the government shuts down and the government can't spend any more money? People that rely on Social Security don't get paid.
Mhm.
So this is why that's important. And a lot of times in the low, middle and lower income communities, they rely on those things.
Yes.
And it's a lot of that stuff that's involved in that. The other thing is, you know, and I think we'll touch on it later, but the U.S. dollar right now is the world's currency. Okay. The U.S.
What made it the world? Like who decided that the U.S. dollar
Right.
was going to be the world currency?
So a group of leaders got together about 80 years ago.
Okay.
And they said, look, you know, as globalization started happening, so countries, you know, airplanes and people can travel more. So they said, hey, we can, you know, I mean, commerce between countries has been happening since the beginning of time, probably.
Mhm.
But, you know, you can get stuff from different places, you know, cheaper. China, you know, sends furniture here and a wealth of goods over here. So you got a lot of countries trading with each other in order to facilitate that. But are you gonna, if you're a Chinese company and your currency is the yuan and the United States is the dollar, then how do you kind of sell them and what's the price? So you got to do foreign exchanges and stuff like that. So they said, look, it will be easier if we just pick one currency.
Mhm.
That currency used to be the British pound until Britain kind of got into some turmoil in their economy. So again, at this time, 80 years ago, they said, look, the standard is going to be the U.S. dollar. So an example, let's say you're an Egyptian furniture maker.
Okay.
Okay. And you want to buy wood from Brazil,
Mhm.
from the forest in Brazil. You would pay for that transaction in U.S. dollars. Like that transaction would be done in U.S. dollars. It would not be in the Brazilian real. It would not be. You would not pay in the Brazilian pesos. It would be. I mean, the Egyptian, whatever the currency is in Egypt, and I forgot what it is. But you wouldn't pay for that with Egyptian money or Brazilian dollars. You would pay for it with U.S. dollars, and that's basically for the last 80 years how that's been. So that has allowed for a tremendous amount of trade between countries to happen.
Mhm.
So that's essentially why the United States dollar is that. But back to the debt ceiling,
Yeah.
if the dollar is backed by the U.S. government,
Yeah.
and the U.S. government is in danger of shutting down because
Yes.
because they can't agree on this particular thing, then if you're a country that has U.S. dollars, they could be deemed worthless, even if it's for a day. And you don't want to. That's a level of risk and uncertainty you just don't want to have. So that is why the debt ceiling is so important, and you know how we manage that, you know, as a country, you know, is critical to how we maintain our standing in the world, because there are some great perks that come with, you know, being the currency of the world. People want to invest here.
Mhm.
This is the United States dollar is seen as safe. It's you know, people use it as a safe haven. So because you can go anywhere, you can use it anywhere in the world. Basically, the debt ceiling kind of the debate about that kind of interrupts that, if you will, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
so
Yeah, I know. I didn't even realize the effect that it could have until
Oh,
I was watching
oh yeah.
something,
It's a
and I
big deal.
because, and it's the thing I really want to everybody to know. Like, although you may say I'm not a millionaire, I don't have a lot of
Right.
money, so these things don't concern me.
Right.
But I wanted to involve you in this summer sessions because I need families, I need husbands, I need wives, I
Right.
need single mothers and fathers to see like these kind of things affect us.
Right. So
As
we-
middle class, lower class, you know, these things. So don't just turn it off and be like it doesn't affect me, because everything has a trickle down effect.
So what I just gave you was a macroeconomic example, a microeconomic example. Let's say you and I are a family,
Mhm.
and we have credit cards that we use, or let's say we want to buy our kid a vehicle.
Mhm.
So the debt ceiling affects the interest rates that the United States government pays. So as stable as the United States government is seen, you know, to the extent that other countries and other places deem us very stable and very safe, then we enjoy, you know, the ability to people to buy our investments at low interest rates,
Mhm.
right? So the recent interest rate hikes now, and they weren't done because of the instability, they were done as a way to kind of control inflation. But if the debt ceiling is not settled,
Mhm.
the United States government has to shut down, then other countries are going to say, okay, the United States is going to affect our credit rating in the world. Okay, now the United States is more risky to do business with. As a result of that, interest rates increase. And when interest rates increase for the nation to borrow money,
Mhm.
it also increased for everyone else because banks borrow money from the United States government too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the relationship. So by default, our credit card bills may go up.
Mm.
Instead of being able to go out and afford, a brand new car for our kid that we may want to buy because the interest rate will allow us to do that. If interest rates go up, now maybe, we can't buy the car. We have to buy a car that's a lot less than what we would normally get. It also, it affects manufacturers. If we own a company and we produce wheat, right, or we just say we're a bread maker,
Mm-hmm.
it costs more for us to get our products.
Yeah.
Right? Because people say, wait a minute, we don't, the US dollar doesn't have the trust and security that we thought it had. So for that additional risk, we're going to charge you more money. And so that's how it affects at the kitchen table level. That is where that comes into play. So,
Yeah.
Americans should be very, very, cognizant of that and understand what this is about.
I like that you said the kitchen table effect.
Yeah.
That is so cute. I'm gonna have to say that. So question number 2 is, what should we be doing individually and as a community to better prepare us for financial security?
Great question. Number one, we need to vote better. And the United States is a country that has the lowest participation of people voting in elections in the developed world, which is, that's kind of sad. We're probably the most developed country in the world, and we got the least amount of participation. Look at France.
Yeah.
Riots in the streets just over just the retirement age. That, you need to care about your government. And I would say when you do vote, most people, I think a lot of the problems that we have could be solved. So my personal opinion, if you vote your economic interest, not your religious interest, not your whatever preference issue, just vote your economic interest. I think
Are you saying vote our economic issue?
Yes, what's in my
our economic and not
What's
like religion, not like
so
everything else that can drive your vote. You saying we should vote for the things that fuel our economic position.
For me personally, so there's a concept in economics. It's called the invisible hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that concept says that, hey, look, to the extent that I do stuff that's good for me,
Mm-hmm.
right, and I improve my economic situation, that's good. If each individual does that, then they become better, more wealthy, and that in turn rises the whole economy, right? So that improves the whole economy, right? So you do what's in your best interest, and in doing that, it is good for the collective. Now, people can debate that, but I don't think there's any doubt about the fact that the United States, we are seen as a place where you can come and do business and, kind of build yourself up and, reach incredible, financial success.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, that is the thing I think most people should be concerned about.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, if you're looking at a candidate, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's their position on these things that I think help people from an economic standpoint?
Mm-hmm.
I think to the extent that we do that, we eliminate a lot of stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
Half the stuff that they talk about doesn't have anything to do with economics.
That's true.
And I don't think that that's what government's for. So I think the government is, to set rules and boundaries, so we're safe and that everybody can kind of pursue what we want to do. I don't think it's a controversial statement to say that the people that first came here for two main reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Economic freedom, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let me come, economic opportunity, and also let me do what I want to do without the government having anything to do with it. So I want to practice the religion I want to practice, whatever that is. They just happen to be Christians, but whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
without the government interfering. I don't want to be in a theocracy. So those two things are what I think make this country great. So I don't need to be concerned about what you do in your personal life. If you're trying to strive for economic, you're trying to improve yourself economically, that's good for the nation as a whole. Now, some might say, well, that's a short-sighted way to look at stuff, but I think that should be the main thing. I'm not saying that it's something you're very passionate about or you shouldn't consider your religion in something, but I think that if you vote your pocketbook, as they say, we're gonna have leaders
I
that
need a new
agree,
pocketbook.
right? We're gonna have leaders that agree on a lot more stuff and can move the country you know, in a better direction. And, you know, I think where we keep going back and forth. Like I was watching the news this morning and somebody made a statement about the, you know, and this is the statement of "Make America Great Again,"
Yeah.
right? So that
Yeah.
the way that people perceive that,
Yeah.
again, as every other nation, you know, is moving on a forward path.
Yeah.
And they pride themselves on that, right?
Yeah.
They're not looking back and going backwards, saying, "Oh, let's go back to when we were great this time and that time." Say, "Hey, let's continue to improve this place and move forward." And there's a group of people in this country that say, "Hey, we're okay going backwards." Like it just seems, it
But
just doesn't feel like,
yeah.
you know, right.
And see, the problem I have with the whole Make America Great Again, to me, it does send the message to the other world
Right.
that we're currently not at our greatest.
That
And
too.
so when you say Make America Great Again, it's
That
like,
too.
oh, they're not at their greatest right now.
Right.
And that's most of the time, and I'm about to be a pastor now, that's when the enemy strike, when he know you're not at your greatest, okay? So I don't know about all that. But anyway, but yeah, and I like the fact that you said vote, because that's something that individually can
Very
process
important.
and the community can digest. Like it's for everybody.
So one of my favorite quotes is, "If you want to make sure that there's less scoundrels in the world,
Mm-hmm.
don't be one." Right? So
Yeah.
just control what you can control. That's what that means. Just control what you can control. I can't control what you do, what you think, what you say, but I can control what I do, what I think, what I say. So if I vote and everybody decides that they're going to vote,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to bet that a lot of the problems that we have will go away, because you're going to have a consensus of the country. And right now, we don't really have that. We have a projection of the consensus of the country, and the people that are vocal about certain things, and some people that have economic security, they tend to focus on, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I don't need to worry about money, so I can worry about these other things. Well, they have that benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, middle and lower class, they don't have that benefit, right?
Mhm.
And look, I need people that are voting for my economic best interest. Like
Yeah.
I need to be able to, survive and take care of these bottom levels of this triangle, so that I can get to where you are. And then maybe we can have a philosophical discussion about what's the right thing to do about these, these non-economic issues. So voting, I think, is
Non-economic
right. So voting, I think, is
So
critically
politically
important.
correct.
I think the second thing is we need to do a better job saving, especially in the African American community.
Yeah.
And we are historically very conservative when it comes to investing. In fact, that is part of the reason why we're behind, because we do save, but you have to save in order to do the next thing, which is invest.
Yeah.
To invest, you got to increase your financial literacy. You've got to educate yourself about, hey, what is a good place for me to generate a return for my money? So if I get up and go to work every day,
Mm-hmm.
I want my money to do the same thing. So one of my favorite quotes from Warren Buffett is, if you don't figure out how to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until the day you die.
Woo!
And so that is one of the things that I think people can.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, and I will tell you, M&F Bank, we have a great financial literacy tool on the website. If
We
you
do.
Go to, mfbonline.com, go to the financial literacy. It is for business owners and individual people
Mhm.
on all spectrums of financial literacy, but it's helpful. I've been through it. I've walked people through it. It's a great tool. So that you can start there, because I know there are people who maybe listen and say, I don't know anything about that. So then learn.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple. Again, control what you can control, and a better educated society, right,
Mhm.
is good for everybody. Again, it's that invisible hand too, because as people become educated, they make better decisions, I think. And
Yeah.
If you educate yourself, you don't need to rely on what I'm telling you. Right?
Yeah.
You can make your own decision in your own best interest. And I know for some people,
It builds your confidence too.
right, but
because
for some people, that's a scary thought, right?
Yeah.
This is all on me. But at least if you educate yourself, and you know who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't,
Yeah.
and at least you follow the right person. So even if you say, hey, I'm not built to make these decisions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to educate myself. I don't want to pull the trigger, but I do need to know who I can trust to actually do this for me.
Ah.
And that's a benefit of that too. Because again, everybody, is not built to do that, and I understand that. So I think those three things. And when I say invest too, I don't just mean financially. We got to invest in each other, time, resources, money, support groups. Specifically in the African American community here, like The affirmative action,
Yeah.
has been overturned. We as a community are probably, I wonder what our ancestors who decided, hey, I'm gonna endure this, horrible, horrible life so that, one day my descendants, right, will not have to deal with this, and they'll be able to come together and they'll reach these great heights because they will be together like we used to take care of each other.
Yeah.
Even when in the small town I grew up in, people slept with their doors open.
Yeah.
I mean, they, went to bed with their doors unlocked, and if you needed something, you could go to somebody and get it. Like there was no, issue about, I can't do this for you. That was, basically if you needed help and somebody had it, they did it. Now that's the community that I came from, and talking to a lot of elders, they look at what's happening now. And again, it may seem antithetical that I talk about kind of financially looking out for yourself, but you can only help somebody if you get yourself to a level where you can actually help them.
Yeah.
Right? So I tell my wife a lot, we try to do stuff for people, and sometimes it's not the most convenient.
Yeah.
But I will tell her, say, hey, look, we have it to do it.
Yeah.
So we should do it, right?
We should
It's
do
not
it.
gonna, it's not gonna kill us to do it. And, we have this as a result of those decisions that we made. So that's really what it's for. Like, that's the power in what we have. So that's kind of what I think, 3 things that are, if I would say, so again, vote, make sure you vote, save your money. Don't just, just don't spend money like we do. We're terrible as a consumer society. And then, kind of educate yourself. Financial literacy. You don't have to go to college and have financial literacy. Like,
Yeah.
just listen, read the stuff that makes sense from a financial standpoint, increase that in yourself, and then I think you'll be much better off. And it'll make you a better voter too,
Yeah.
I think. So.
Well, y'all, this is our first installment of summer sessions. Damien, would you come back for us?
I will.
Okay. So we're gonna have him back, and we're gonna talk a little bit more.
It depends on how many people request it.
No,
I'm
it's
joking.
not.
No, I'm joking.
I do want to ask one more practical question
Sure.
before we go.
Sure.
What is your favorite meal that your wife prepares for you?
Oh, wow. My wife is an excellent cook, as you know.
Yes. I mean, really.
really.
She feed us all the time. Thank you on that.
Wow. I'm not sure. It's her. So between her lasagna.
The lasagna, I co-sign on that.
So I have a top 3: her lasagna,
Okay.
her chicken and dumplings, and her turkey wings and stuffing and cabbage.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I asked that question so I can go ahead and put in my request.
I understand.
Yeah,
I
so
knew that was coming.
yeah.
I anticipated
Yeah.
it.
So do me a favor, guys, as if you have heard anything today that you feel helped you, it grew your knowledge, it made you hungry for more information, and you know somebody in your family that's also having these same questions, feeling overwhelmed by financial issues, like and share this video, and then continue to follow us so when we get them back, we'll have more questions. So you all be blessed. Thank y'all so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
And that'll be the pause. Bam. I saw that thing.